It's Friday, it's February 20th. I'm Megan McKinney. It's Here First from IPR. This legislative session, Governor Reynolds proposed a tax reform plan she says will save Iowans $3 billion over 6 years. However, the leader of one Northwest Iowa county says this will strain local government. IPR's Sheila Brummer reports.
The chairman of the Woodbury County Supervisors is pushing back on a state tax cut plan. Mark Nelson says he worries his county and others won't be able to pay for services if lawmakers cap revenue growth at 2%.
Because there are counties like ours that have run things really, really lean, and we don't have really a lot of things to cut.
The Republican also says he's concerned about the loss of local control in government.
If we continue to take rights and responsibilities away from townships to city councils to county boards to school boards, and it all goes to Des Moines, that none of us are going to have a voice.
Nelson says lawmakers who backed the governor's plan accuse critics of wanting to tax and spend. He says that's not true. I'm Sheila Brummer, IPR News.
Federal aid continues to flow into western Iowa communities affected by major disasters in 2024. FEMA announced approval for about $9.5 million to the city of Rock Valley and the local school district after historic flooding. However, homeowners in Rock Valley and several other communities are still waiting for buyouts for almost 270 properties. FEMA also awarded $1.5 million to Minden to restore damaged utilities. A tornado tore through that town located about 30 miles northeast of Omaha. FEMA did not mention if other Iowa communities receive funding. The agency says it's continuing to review additional projects and will give out money on a rolling basis as eligibility is confirmed. Iowa's House and Senate leaders say they need more time to review an executive order signed by President Donald Trump this week to increase the production of herbicides in the U.S. The executive order also includes immunity for domestic manufacturers of glyphosate-based weed killers. Over 100,000 lawsuits have claimed glyphosate from Monsanto products is linked to non-Hodgkin lymphoma and other cancers. Last year, the Iowa Senate passed a bill to prevent lawsuits that claim a pesticide company failed to warn consumers of health risks as long as the product has a federally approved label. The bill is still alive for this year's session. 150 people at the Iowa Capitol yesterday urged lawmakers to oppose the bill. Allison Barnhill is with Food and Water Watch.
I'm here for two groups that can't be here today, that can't speak up for themselves. And one is my sister and all the other people like her who are ravaged by chemotherapy and radiation and are too immunosuppressed to be here.
People at the rally also called on legislatures to restore funding for a network of water quality sensors in the state. There are 3 bills that would limit the governor's powers, and they have advanced ahead of a key state house deadline. Here's more from IPR's Katerina Sostarek.
One bill would prohibit the governor from closing a place of worship even during a disaster. A separate bill would restrict the governor's authority to decide how long a state of emergency or public health disaster can last. The governor wouldn't be allowed to order businesses to close, change election procedures, or stop in-person visits at healthcare facilities. Republican Representative Samantha Fett of Carlisle managed the bill's passage in a House committee.
House Study Bill 726 is a bill that strengthens constitutional liberties, preserves essential public health tools, and clarifies the proper roles of the legislative and executive branches.
A third bill would make it harder for the executive branch to move forward with certain administrative rules. The bills have advanced as Iowa is expected to have a competitive governor's race this year. I'm Katerina Sostarek, IPR News.
It's Here First from IPR. I'm Megan McKinney. When the National Suicide and Crisis Lifeline launched nationwide, the goal was to give people quick access to help, and it's being used. However, some states are able to respond to these crisis calls quicker than others, and funding plays a key role. More about that in just a moment. Stay with us. Hey, welcome back to this Friday edition of Here First from IPR. I'm Megan McKinney. Mental health hotlines can be particularly valuable in rural areas where there may not be any therapists or social workers close by. That includes 988, the National Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. It launched less than 4 years ago and has already responded to nearly 20 million contacts. But support for 988 is stronger in some states than in others. Harvest Public Media's Michael Marks has more.
The 988 system was designed to give people in crisis an easy-to-remember number that's available 24 hours a day. Every state has its own set of call centers with trained operators, and since the hotline started taking calls in 2022, demand has increased nationwide.
We have been seeing a month-over-month increase in utilization of 988. And so we are also working pretty hard to keep up.
That's Monica Kurz, Chief Administrative Officer for Health Source Integrated Solutions in Kansas, one of the state's 988 call centers. She says the service is a necessity for rural Kansans.
We know that in our rural and frontier counties in Kansas, folks might be traveling hours to get to their nearest mental health clinic. And this is a way to access services right away without that kind of distance barrier.
Responding quickly is essential. A caller frustrated with a long wait time might hang up. Plus, if they spend 2 minutes on hold, the call is rerouted from a local facility to a national backup center. A backup operator may not be able to connect someone with local resources, says Lauren Moyer, chair of Missouri's 988 task force.
If someone is really struggling with substance use and needs connected to a residential substance use bed in the moment, somebody from another state is not going to have access to that information.
When the 988 hotline launched, the federal government paid for it, but states were expected to pick up the tab eventually. That has not happened in Texas yet. Jennifer Battle is vice president of the Harris Center in Houston, which fields 988 calls. During a legislative hearing last year, she said the state's call centers get around 200,000 calls annually, and the state needs to step up and help fund the program.
As impressive as these numbers are that we're able to serve with the current federal funds, these funds only allow for us to be able to answer on average 84% of the 988 calls that originate in Texas.
The federal 988 bill recommended that states pay for the program through fees on telecommunication products. That's how 911 is largely funded. Only a dozen have done so, including Minnesota and Illinois. But in Missouri, they're doing things a little differently, dedicating money from the state's general fund each year. Lauren Moyer, the Missouri State Task Force chair, worries about sustainability.
General revenue support, it's its own line item, and that's not guaranteed long term.
Oklahoma doesn't have a recurring fee to support 988 either. According to State Representative Kevin Norwood, a Republican from the Tulsa area, there's little appetite in the state legislature for a new tax.
Before I became a legislator, that idea was introduced and it gained no traction.
Norwood is now sponsoring a bill that would create a trust fund for 988, which would ensure the money is only used for the hotline.
When I jumped into it, I was like, okay, we need to make it where it's not just a short-term fix, that it would be long-term and sustainable.
Texas has followed a similar path. Lawmakers there have been unable to pass a telecommunications fee through the legislature. In 2025, Texas established a trust fund, but the balance is currently zero. Jonathan Pirtle studies 988 funding at the New York University School of Global Public Health.
Those trust funds are a strategy, but if there's not funds in the trust fund, it's not going to have that much of an impact. But it's something that some states are trying. It's a signal of effort, I suppose.
Pirtle is near the end of a 5-year study. He's analyzing the funding of 988 systems in all 50 states. So far, he's found that those with long-term dedicated funding for staff are generally more efficient.
The big thing is people, right? The staffing, the people to work in these call centers is the main thing.
He may have a new data point in the near future. Missouri's legislature is set to consider a 988 funding fee later this year. I'm Michael Marks, Harvest Public Media.
Harvest Public Media is a collab of public media newsrooms in the Midwest and Great Plains, including IPR News, covering ag, food systems, and rural issues. I'm Megan McKinney. Thanks for taking the time to listen to Here First on your Friday morning. It's definitely still winter here in Iowa. Lots of snowfall from last night. Drive safely today. Have a great weekend. Talk Monday.